From the Up Coast Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our weekly We Pick 'em segment. We've got 5 games, Barry, maybe some BCS shakeup. We're going to talk about whether USC could maybe beat Oregon, LSU could maybe beat Alabama, and whether OSU might be able to upset Kansas State. Let's get right to it, Barry. Let's start with one that doesn't shake up the BCS, but it's an interesting game. You got Nebraska and Michigan State. Who you got in this one?
Well, I'm going to pick Nebraska, and I tell you what, let me tell you who's cheering for the Huskers the most this weekend. The Tournament of Roses Committee. I mean, the Rose Bowl, you can fashion a scenario by which Nebraska loses this game. You could have a Northwestern Oregon State Rose Bowl. This is a Big Ten that's just totally derelict of good teams. Nebraska is the only team ranked in the BCS, thanks to Ohio State's probation. The Huskers can take command of the Legends or Leaders division. I forget which one they are. I've remembered who's in their division, but I don't know the names. Yes, I do.
All right.
It's the M and N plus Iowa. All the M's teams and all the N teams plus Iowa is in one division. But anyway, I'm taking the Huskers.
Well, I am too. I'm going with Nebraska in this one myself. Yeah, and you know what? There for a while, I thought we might be able to see a Nebraska-Oklahoma matchup potentially in a bowl game. But with no Big Ten teams other than Nebraska being any good this year, the Rose Bowl has to take them. And Barry, we were talking off camera, probably Notre Dame if it's a Rose Bowl for Nebraska to go up against them potentially. So I like Nebraska in this one. I think they're getting better. And yeah, not a lot of great teams in the Big Ten. So I like their chances at Michigan State. All right, Barry, what about this one? We're going to see a shakeup in the BCS. Can USC beat Oregon? What do you say?
I think they can, and actually, I'm going to pick the Trojans.
Wow,
because
the upset.
They are such an up-and-down team. This is a squad that lost to Stanford, lost last week at Arizona, started the season ranked #1 in the AP poll. I think USC's got it in them. They're not a consistent team. They lack depth on the defensive line, but they've got star power. They got some big weapons. I think they can get up for one game. They won in Eugene last year, beat an Oregon team that won the Rose Bowl. I think USC might get the upset this Saturday.
You said it, though, and why I'm picking Oregon to win this one is because of that game last year in Eugene. Oregon cannot be happy with that result a year ago. And USC, you know, I've tried to like you even after that that first loss of the season. I just can't get back on board. I just think it's too inconsistent what we're seeing out of Lane Kiffin's group. So I'm going with Oregon to go on the road to win, to continue their charge towards the national championship game. All right, Barry, what about this team? Is Alabama going to continue its charge towards the national championship game, going to LSU? Who wins this one?
Well, last year, Alabama seemed to be, the body of evidence shows over 2 games, Alabama was better than LSU. But LSU went to Tuscaloosa and won, so they are capable. They're going to play the stout defense. They're not going to get pushed around. Won't be easy for Alabama. But I'm going to take the Crimson Tide because LSU just has no offense at all. You know, sometimes we badmouth the SEC offenses. The truth is, a whole bunch of their elite teams play really good offense. It's just different kind of offense. LSU's not one of them. LSU's terrible on offense. Alabama's going to have to bank a bunch of mistakes to lose this game. That doesn't sound like the Tide to me.
No, and I'm picking Alabama in this one as well. And you know what? It's largely because of the Alabama offense, which in SEC, games, you're usually talking about defenses. But Alabama, A.J. McCarron, their quarterback, who's making a little bit of a charge towards the Heisman, has not turned the ball over once this year. No fumbles, no interceptions. You know, it's a great thing for an offense to say you've got a quarterback who has no turnovers this deep into the season. That's going to come in handy at LSU. I like Alabama to keep going. All right, Barry, what about the 2 games involving OU and OSU? Let's start with the Sooners heading on the road to Iowa State. Who you got in this one?
Well, this Iowa State team is better than the Iowa State team of a year ago, and this OU team is not as good as the OSU team of a year ago. So clearly the Clones could beat the Sooners. They beat the Cowboys last year in Ames. I don't think it will happen, though. I think the Sooners are a really good team. They've lost 2 close games to really good squads. Great teams, Notre Dame and Kansas State. Sooners just aren't quite great, but they're very good. Iowa State doesn't have enough offense to really make this a game. I think the Sooners win a solid game.
Yeah, I do too. And I think coming off that Notre Dame game, OU is going to be motivated to go and put together a good performance. And I think they will put together a good performance. Iowa State, they're going to play some defense. Paul Rhodes knows how to get his guys ready to play defensively. So Sooners, on the offense, you better be ready to go. Don't screw around and think you're just going to roll, because those guys will play some defense up there. But I think OU, especially Barry, in light of that loss, really getting pushed around on Owen Field turf, I think they come out really motivated on Saturday. All right, Barry, lastly, let's go with the primetime matchup. OSU goes to Kansas State. Cowboys going to pull the upset?
I don't see it. I just don't see it. I know everybody's fired up about the Cowboy defense playing so much better these last 3 weeks, but look who they've played. Kansas, Iowa State, TCU. 3 worst offenses in the Big 12. None of them have an elite quarterback. Iowa State, Iowa State, TCU playing really with backup quarterbacks. Kansas replaced its quarterback during the game against OSU. Guess who's not coming off the field Saturday night? Colin Klein. I think Cowboys are going to have a tough time tackling Kansas State. I think Kansas State scores a ton. I think OSU will score too, but not enough to keep up with the Cats.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cats in this one as well. And, Colin Klein, impressive. Got a chance to see him firsthand, as did you, Barry, when the Wildcats came to Norman. You know, he doesn't do a lot of things pretty. He doesn't throw the ball pretty. He doesn't really even run all that pretty. It's kind of more of a plodding style. But when you look how much ground he covers when he takes off, it's impressive. This guy's got a long stride. He's big. He doesn't, as you said, Barry, doesn't come out of games because of injury. I just think he is the real deal. I have no idea if he's ever going to play quarterback after he finishes up at K-State, but for this offense and this team, perfect fit. I think they win and keep going. I wouldn't be surprised to see these Cats play for a national championship. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.